Welcome to True Haunt Lore. Some buildings do not just hold history, they absorb it. It sinks into plaster. It settles into stairwells. It lingers in the air like wet cloth you cannot peel off your skin. And tonight, the file takes us to Indonesia, to Semarang, Central Java, where a bright white colonial landmark stands against the modern city like a spotless mask. Right after this intro, subscribe and turn on the notification bell to join the archive, because the places we document do not stay quiet for long. They call it Lawang Sewu, the thousand doors. In daylight, it looks almost unreal. Wide arches, tall windows, endless openings meant to pull wind through the halls and keep the heat from crushing the people inside. The number is not exactly 1,000, but when you stand there, door after door after door, you start to feel like the building is breathing. And that is the first trick. From the street, it reads like pride, like progress, like a monument to engineering. But archived records and survivor testimonies tell a darker truth. Because this structure did not stay an office. It opened in 1904 as headquarters for the Dutch East Indies Railway Company. For decades, the soundtrack was paperwork, typewriter clicks, shoes on tile, a machine of colonial order. Then the Second World War reached the region. In 1942, Japanese forces took Semarang and Lawang Sewu changed overnight. The desks stopped mattering. The schedules stopped mattering. The building's most famous feature those openings, those corridors, those easy paths through the structure stopped being ventilation and became control. The Japanese Kempeitai claimed the complex. They did not need the grand rooms. They needed what was underneath, because beneath the bright halls is a basement system originally built for cooling channels and chambers that could hold water to regulate temperature above. A smart design until someone decides it is a cage. The Kempeitai converted parts of it into squat prison cells, concrete boxes, tight spaces, dark. Some designed to be flooded, forcing detainees to stay rigid and upright for hours, sometimes longer, with no comfort, no light, and no real sense of time. The walls were not just cold, they were close. The air felt used up. That is where the haunting begins. Because that kind of fear does not vanish when the door opens again. By 1945, as the war collapsed and Indonesia fought for independence, Semarang erupted in violence. During the Battle of 5 Days, Lawang Sewu became a focal point. Detentions happened there. Executions happened there. Not as a cinematic moment, just grim procedure, carried out where no one outside could see. And after, the building did not get to rest. Decades passed. The structure was neglected, restored, rebranded as heritage, fresh paint, neat grounds, bright events in the courtyard, a tourist camera-friendly face. But the documented accounts never stopped. Night watchmen, visitors, military personnel, production crews, people who walk in expecting a pretty landmark, then walk out pale, shaking, and refusing to explain what they saw until they are far from the doors. One recurring report centers on an upper floor corridor, a pale, faceless figure in old colonial clothing, drifting with a heaviness that feels like grief. Witnesses describe the temperature dropping fast like someone opened a freezer in the middle of the hallway. And then a smell, lavender, old perfume, too clean to belong in a humid, aging building. But deeper inside the thousand doors, something else gets reported. something tied to Indonesian spiritual warnings and tied to what happened in wartime spaces. A female presence, long black hair hiding what should be a face, a white gown that looks wrong in the dark, not walking, just there, too still, too high up in the shadows. And before anyone sees her, they smell jasmine funeral, jasmine sweet and suffocating. Then the sound comes, not footsteps, not a door, a thin, warbling laugh that seems to bounce off every corridor at once. One documented security account from the early 2000s describes a second-floor patrol, a quiet building, sparse lights, doors checked one by one. Then, soft weeping around a corner. The guard follows, expecting a lost visitor. The crying stops. His flashlight finds a woman in white, back turned, perfectly still, and without moving her body, her head turns in a way a human neck cannot. No clear face. Just darkness where features should be, and the sense that whatever is looking back is not asking to be understood. He ran and refused night duty again. Then there are the figures seen near the basement entrance and courtyard, 3 at a time, sometimes more. Shadow solid silhouettes in torn uniforms and rags, moving with the rhythm of marching. Witnesses fixate on the same detail, no heads, only a ragged haze above the shoulders, like smoke refusing to take shape. People hear boots on tile, first steady, heavy, patient. Then see the formation pass through locked doors as if the building is choosing to let them through. Even modern media got pulled into the file. A reality television program once placed a contestant alone in the basement with a candle and a camera as a test of courage. The recording shows the atmosphere shift breathing, getting fast, panic building. Then a dark mass forming in a corner that the lens cannot fully explain. The contestant locks up, thrashes, and has to be dragged out. Afterward, he claimed a woman reached for him from the darkness pulling toward the flooded chambers. Skeptics point to architecture, wind tunnels, drafts echoes, mold expectation shaping fear, but the specificity stays sharp. The same perfume, the same jasmine, the same marching, the same places. And when you descend today, sanitized or not, the basement air still feels heavy. Visitors report sudden sadness that hits like a wave. Some cry without knowing why. Some cannot finish the tour. Stone can hold heat. Iron can hold cold. And if the stone tape theory has any truth at all, then Lawang Sewu is not just a building. It is an imprint. A recording of panic pressed into concrete, playing back in the dark, whenever the conditions are right. So if you ever stand in front of those bright white arches, do not just look at the beauty. Listen, let the traffic fade, let the crowds fade. And when the wind slides through the 1,000 doors, ask yourself if it is only air moving through corridors or something inside the building still trying to find a way out. Like the video, subscribe, and share your own documented encounters in the comments, because the archive grows darker with every new file.
So, after delving into the pure historical brutality we just explored, the horrifying conditions of the flooded basement prison, the ruthless executions during the occupation, and the chilling sightings of the headless spirits and the kuntilanak, you're probably wondering, what exactly is the vibe at Lawang Sewu today? Well, my personal take on this massive Indonesian landmark right now is all about its deeply deceptive architectural charm. If you travel to the bustling center of Semarang today, expecting to find a dark, rotting, Hollywood-style house of horrors, you will be completely caught off guard. During the daylight hours, this stunning Dutch colonial masterpiece actually possesses a remarkably serene and peaceful aesthetic. With its endless rows of elegant wooden doors, majestic stained glass windows, and pristine white corridors, it feels surprisingly cozy. Bathed in the warm tropical sun, the property genuinely looks like a bright, picturesque Thomas Kincaid-style painting of a historic, elegant European estate. Today, it operates as a beautifully restored museum, constantly filled with tourists taking beautiful photographs in the sunlit courtyards. But honestly, from my perspective, that picture-perfect, elegant exterior is exactly what makes the reality of Lawang Sewu so deeply unsettling. The contrast is just jarring, because while it looks like a serene vintage palace by day, the blood soaked into its very foundations refuses to rest. You can be admiring the magnificent architecture on the upper floors, but the moment you step near Building B, or peer down into that freezing, dark underground prison where so many captives took their final, agonizing breaths, that suffocating dread rushes right back in. The victims of the war haven't moved on. They are just silently waiting in the shadows behind those 1,000 doors. Lawang Sewu proves that the most magnificent architecture can hide the darkest forms of human cruelty. Thanks for joining me on this case here on True Haunt Lore, and I'll catch you in the next mystery.